Would like to mention that on the weekend of February the 7th, our teens will be going to Smithfield, to the church there for their teen quiz. I was asking Mariah just a minute ago how they're faring as far as needing the monies to make the trip and to make it a memorable event for the teens. And she said she's somewhat short, but trusting that the Lord will make up that difference. And I'm just going to say to you, to all of us, if the Lord does anything, He's going to do it through you. If she raises any more money, that's going to help. The Lord's going to use you. He's talking to you right now, isn't He? Listen. Feel it? Hear it? So anyway, that would be a great help, and I know that it would mean so much. So if you have, if you can make out a check, Mariah, make it out to you if they make a check out. To make it out to the church and get giving that way, giving credit. Put teen quizzing down at the bottom. Okay, very good. All right. Next Sunday is Youth Sunday, and Corey will be helping us along with the communion. We'll have preliminaries where the youth will be participating. And isn't it great to have the youth and the children in our church? Take your Bibles, stand with me. Old Testament to the book of Numbers, chapter 13. Book of Numbers, chapter 13. One verse, verse number 30. A lot of spies from Israel went to check out the Canaan land. They're all listed there in the front of that chapter. Caleb was one of those. We need a lot of Calebs today. Caleb was fearless, and he said that they could conquer the walled cities and the giants and all the opposition in the Canaan land. Others didn't think so. Well, let's look at Numbers chapter 13, verse 30. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it." You may be seated. Caleb persevered when the others didn't. The others became discouraged, didn't think that they could do it, could overcome all the opposition in the Canaan land. But 6 times, to show you the type of person that Caleb was and what set him apart from the others, 6 times it's recorded that Caleb fully followed the Lord. It said of Caleb, he was faithful. He wholly followed the Lord. In another place, that he fully followed the Lord, and he was wholehearted in his commitment and his devotions. He never thought of the Canaan land in the terms of walled cities or we can't do it, but in terms of reaching for the heights. Caleb, out of all of Israel, along with a couple others, was a man of altitude. And he believed that everything was possible if we just believe in God. And at 80 years of age, Caleb said to Joshua, "Now, therefore, give me this mountain. Give me this mountain." A real man of faith, a real man of devotion. In the Swiss Alps, there's a little mountain day camp for rookie climbers who want to begin to climb mountains. And many businesses sponsor their employees to go there and to challenge that mountain. And so they'll put on all their climbing gear and start out early in the morning to possess the mountain, make it all the way to the top. Well, halfway up the mountain, there's a camp called Halfway Camp, where they stop for a little break and refreshments and go in. And there at the halfway house, they sit in front of the fireplace. They have good food to eat. They get all warm and cozy and having a good time. But it's said that when it's time to put the gear back on and to get outside and go the rest of the way up the mountain, that fewer than half of those who started leave the halfway camp. They prefer to stay where it's safe and warm and friendly rather than challenge the mountain. Half of them are content to stay and never complete the journey. I'm not a rookie when it comes to pastoring. I've pastored for a long time, long enough to know that in every church there are a few Calebs. There are a few that are willing to climb the mountain and pursue and believe God for great things. And I'm also, through experience, smart enough to know that there are a lot of others who get discouraged and impatient. And do you know discouragement spreads faster than enthusiasm? Enthusiasm is a great power. Faith is a wonderful power. But discouragement, I could discourage you today by saying one or two words to you, and I could ruin your whole day, couldn't I? I'd ruin your whole week next week. And next time you saw me, if I was convinced you weren't discouraged enough, I'd feed on that, and I'd really say something to discourage you. Well, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at the mountain, there in the Alps, a bell rings. Everyone at the halfway camp goes over to the window and looks, and lo and behold, those few who persevered and went forward have reached the summit. And there's a great round of applause. But there's also a lot of guilt in the hearts of those who didn't have the courage, who didn't have the faith, who didn't have the want to and the desire to climb the mountain. And now they see those on top of the mountain shaking hands and hugging and celebrating, and lo and behold, their celebration at the halfway camp becomes perfect quietness, and guilt sets in and regret. You know, I shouldn't say you know, that got Caroline Kennedy in trouble. I won't say that. But there are people here today who are climbing mountains. Some of you are climbing a mountain of debt. Many people have lost their jobs. Spoke with a lady this week. They just refinanced their home one day, and her husband was laid off from his position as an engineer the following day. So at least they got the refinancing in. But that's one example. A lot of people are struggling today and fighting a mountain of debt and discouragement. There are many people today who are going through marital problems. It gets a little easier, doesn't it, Ken, as you've been married? How many years have you been married? Almost 66. You're going to stay with Betty? Betty, you're going to stay with? That's what I wanted to hear you say. That's great. Don't know how I'd get along without her. My wife and I next weekend will be married 44 years. How'd she ever put up with me for 44 years? Well, what I'm saying, when you're younger, when you're young marrieds, you know, you have some real struggles and real battles. But if you will persevere and keep climbing the mountain, not give in, not give up, and not give out, and keep God on the scene, pray together, you'll stay together, God will help you climb those